morning and welcome to SimWorld today. Back in the booth, a special thank you to B-Ron for holding things down these last couple days. It is a Thursday edition, and that means it's an introductory edition to SimWorld today for one Sniper J. Good morning, Sniper. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you on making your debut.
Top of the morning to you. I'm happy to be here.
We got plenty to get to in both the association with a couple big activities last night and also in college hoops. Let's start with the SWBA where the Knicks take down the Nuggets in a nationally broadcast game. Their fifth straight win, one game now back of the Boston Celtics for the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Sniper, are the Knicks a legitimate title contender this season?
I don't think so. Not this season. I think they need one more season to really gel and get that championship team spirit. I think this year they're gonna make a deep run, but I don't think they're a championship-ready team.
Why not? I mean, what is missing from a team that's now taken down Denver, who might be the second best contender in the Western Conference? They've got 32 wins. They've got one of the best offenses in the league. You've got Karl-Anthony Towns playing some of his best basketball with Coach Thibs. So why is right now this Knicks team that's been the third best team in a top-heavy Eastern Conference, why are they not a championship contender?
In my opinion, it's the experience. They haven't been there yet. They haven't experienced that pain of loss in the Eastern Conference Finals or the championship. I think that's a key motivational factor when a team is a championship-ready team. They've been there and they experienced the loss, and now they're motivated to get back and win.
But did they not make it? I mean, they lost I guess they lost to the. No, they took down the Sixers and then lost to Indiana last season. Am I missing something here?
New team this year, different players, different people gonna show up at different times in the playoffs. So in order for them to have that experience, they need all the people that's there right now to have that same experience and that same pain for them to keep moving forward.
All right, so here's where I'll push back. Okay, they need playoff championship experience. They got to lose in a conference round, is what you're saying. Karl-Anthony Towns has done that. He did that a season ago, had a chance to make it there. He's got the pain of losing to a better basketball team in Dallas. They've made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals each of the last 2 years. Jalen Brunson has made his way to a conference finals when he was with the Dallas Mavericks in 2022, when they fell to the holy Golden State Warriors on the way to their world championship. So you've got pieces that have been to, maybe not in a Knicks uniform, been to the championship. Plus, you've got the Nova Knicks with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart, who played together in Villanova on their way to national championships and playing on the national stage. I think this team is absolutely a world champion, an SWBA championship contender as we sit here today. You've got a team that's bought into defense. They found a way to make Karl-Anthony Towns actually invested on the defensive side of the ball. You've got a bona fide number one in Jalen Brunson and a bona fide 1B in Karl-Anthony Towns. You've got hounds of defenders in Bridges and Hart on the perimeter. You've got if Mitchell Robinson can stay healthy, and I think to me the biggest thing that this team is not, which you could say about every team, and it's just that this is a group that has the underlying narratives of can they be healthy? Mitchell Robinson has traditionally not been healthy. He still yet to see him. Coach Thibs has notoriously run his guys into the ground, and we've seen some nicks and bruises popping up with Karl-Anthony Towns having missed some games. Josh Hart is an absolute warrior, but he was definitely slowed down towards the end of that game. Add to OG Anunoby, who is one of your hound of a defenders on the perimeter, but also had his injury history last season. This is a team, if they can keep the pieces together, and that is, again, you say that about every single championship contender, but this just is a team that hasn't proven to stay healthy time and time again. But I think the Knicks, Sniper, are 110% a championship contender. And I think the biggest thing to watch, because it seems like the Cavs are going to run away with the number 1 seed, and if they do that, I think that there's very real reason for the Celtics to care about getting the number 2 seed and finding your way to play Miami, Detroit, Atlanta, or Chicago out of the play-in. It wouldn't be Atlanta or Chicago, but it could be. Playing as a number 2 seed as opposed to getting maybe one of the Bucks, Pacers, and right now the Magic if you end up as the 3 seed. There's a big difference between those two teams in the matchup. I think that's the story to watch for the season, for the rest of the second half as we're past the 41 game point of the regular season. All right, we'll pop on. How about some maybe new destinations? De'Aaron Fox has said that he wants to. Well, he didn't say anything. Let's clarify that. There is the exploration of trades coming from the Sacramento Kings, as De'Aaron Fox does not intend to sign a contract extension this season or in the summer, with Sacramento indicating that he would probably be leaving town, so you might as well get something for him. The question then, Sniper, where should the Kings be looking to send De'Aaron Fox, and who should be the most interested?
That's a really good question. My lack of knowledge can't tell you exactly where he's gonna go, but if I'm the Kings, I'm looking to get somebody who's experienced for Fox, and Fox is what, 27, 28 years old. He's in his prime, so you could get a prime player for a prime player in this aspect of the concept, if I'm speaking correctly. Um, and that's all I really know. I'm not sure where he's gonna go or who they're looking at or what they need. Um, the SWBA is really not my jurisdiction per se, but De'Aaron Fox is a top talent in the league, and they should get a top talent for a top talent.
Give me your best destination. How about that? Forget about reporting. We're not saying where he should go. What would be the best destination for De'Aaron Fox? I mean, Houston and San Antonio are right now the two big names listed. Is there any other team that you say, okay, you inject De'Aaron Fox into this group and they change the entire landscape?
Ooh, that's good. Let me see who. Let me think about. I like San
As you're thinking,
Antonio.
I'm going to throw. You think we'll come back around to you, Sniper. I want to make sure you get a shot on this. But to finish the point, Houston is going to be talked about a lot, and San Antonio is going to be talked about a lot for two reasons. Houston's got the draft capital plus the player capital to make it worth it. San Antonio has the draft capital plus the desire potentially to pair a really great all-star caliber point guard with your defensive player of the year for the next decade, and probably mix in 2 to 3 MVPs in Victor Wembanyama. Those are going to be the teams that everybody is circling and talking about. Inevitably, somebody else is going to emerge. And rose-colored glasses going on right now. I think the Golden State Warriors need to make a swing for him. Now, there's going to be a little bit of awkwardness considering that he forced his way, or maybe depending on who you want to believe on things, the Mike Brown situation, who obviously was an assistant with the Warriors for a number of years. But Golden State needs a number two. They desperately need somebody else to score, and they just had a great win last night against Oklahoma City, but that does not underscore the fact that they need a number two. And De'Aaron Fox is, without question, the best player available on the market. Golden State has their entire cachet of picks, some of which in the 30s, later on down the line when Steph Curry is most definitely no longer in the league anymore, are going to be very enticing. I think Golden State kicks the tires, or at least they should kick the tires, on finding a way to get De'Aaron Fox. It probably means parting with Jonathan Kuminga. It definitely means parting with one of Andrew Wiggins or Draymond Green, probably Andrew Wiggins. But if you're trying to extend the prime and the championship window of Steph Curry, they need a number two scorer. There's no better number two scorer on the market right now than De'Aaron Fox.
And that is well said. But and I believe Golden State might make a push for him. But in the future, if I think De'Aaron Fox wants to win long term, I'm thinking the opposite coast. I think he wants to go to Orlando where he could
Okay.
use his experience and develop some Pablo Banchero, somebody that's the big man Frank Wagner or whoever's on Orlando. He could groom them into a championship team. He could be a leader, and he could take some of that pressure off Banchero, who is undoubtedly having a great season. Who I've seen have multiple 40-point games, a couple triple doubles. I think that's a good place for him where he could use that. He could be a mentor to that Magic team and push them to the promised land or take them to a conference finals and possibly a championship.
I like it. They need a point guard score. Jalen Suggs does, and Cole Anthony hold their own, though they're certainly not to the level of De'Aaron Fox. So, speaking of good situations, how about Villanova as they roll off another win last night, albeit against a pretty lowly Seton Hall squad, 87-52, but they improved to 15-3, the number 5 ranked team in the country. We talk championship contention. Villanova has to be on the short list. Duke is likely going to be our number one team again at the top of that list. It seems likely though Villanova is number 2 behind them. What's the case? Let's make the case for a championship. Villanova winning a national championship. Explain it to us all.
Villanova winning championship. Um, I'm the type of person that likes to see failure before success. So maybe they lose in the conference tournament, or they don't outright win the Big East. They slip up somewhere down the line. It shouldn't happen, but people get content. So I think they slip up somewhere, be a number two, end up with a very high seed in Hoopsteria, and then they climb their way to the Final Four, and now everybody's talking about how good they are and how they've been, even though they slipped up somewhere before.
Do you think they're going to need a loss to then become a championship contender in Hoopsteria? So they cannot win their conference to then get themselves to a national championship.
I think they need a loss that impacts their thinking and their motivation. It may not
Because
it
keep going.
it may not happen in a conference tournament, but it may happen in a season where they're like where the game really means something to them, or they're trying to get something done, and something has to click from the heart. It has to be something from the heart. I think.
All right, if you're going the sentimental route, I'm going to go with the more on the court route. The case, in my opinion, for why this team wins is their offense and their defense inside. Their offense inside specifically. This is not a good three-point shooting team. Yes, Justin Bell is a 37% shooter from deep. As a team, though, they're 27 and 62nd in the country. This is not a team that's going to beat you from the outside. They're going to beat you on the inside on both ends. They're fifth in the country in blocks per game. They are suffocating inside. They force turnovers, and they do a great job of getting to efficient buckets. They shoot 48% from the floor. Oh, and by the way, they also are one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. They get inside, they force you into foul trouble, and they hit at 74%. That's second in the country. That is from a guy like Justin Bell who can get inside. Now, granted, Justin Bell's not even your best free throw shooter, shooting 65% from the line. But you've got a guy in Justin Bell who can create, who can move things around, and can get your team and get the opposing team into foul trouble, get you closer to the bonus. And in a 20-minute half, getting into the bonus early on obviously changes the entire outcome and the trajectory of that half. That's why I think that Villanova is a title contender, because they don't do it with these flashy, streaky type of games, right? It's not a team that says we got to hit 40% of our threes to beat you and we're going to run you out the building. Instead, it's a team that says we're going to score at a pretty decent clip, over 70 points per game. We're going to hold you to a pretty decently low clip at 64% from the game. That's a top 40 mark in the entire country. And then we're just going to slow things down. We're going to beat you up. We're going to get to high percentage shots inside with our guys like Aaron Lovejoy, with our guys like Mugen Williams, who love to just feast in the paint. And we're going to make it hard for you on the opposite end to hit much of anything. And that is in my opinion, that's a repeatable, over a 6-game Hoopsteria run. That is repeatable. Unlike a team that says we're super reliant on three-point shooting. I'm not saying you shouldn't be relying on it, but it's harder to repeat 40% three-point shooting for 6 games in a row than it is to shoot 55% in the paint, attack the rim, and get to the free throw line 6 times in a row, Sniper.
100% agree with you. If they could dominate the paint, they have a good chance to win and then make a long run into Hoopsteria.
All right, last night was a big one. UNC and Duke, the Tobacco Road rivalry reignited. Duke gets the win in that one as they are, as I said, expected to become the number 1 team in the country yet again. What were your takeaways last night from either side, Duke or North Carolina? A top 10 matchup in Duke last night.
I was impressed with Duke last night. I mean, they trailed for most of the game, and Cooper Flag and his company came in the late second half and really pushed the momentum and beat UNC. I'm not going to say UNC gave the game away. I think they actually beat them in the second half. And big kudos to Cooper Flag, foul trouble, but still maintained his confidence and pulled it out for his team in the second half.
Look, I think it's going to be. This is the takeaway for me on this one is Duke is who they thought who they are who we thought they were. They are hyper reliant on Cooper Flag. Jeremiah Minor, what I'm told, is probably going to miss some time with an injury. So that's going to be a big question mark. He's been their second best player, and he's been incredibly consistent all season long. He was relatively good last night, 40% shooting on his way to 14 points. But you are reliant on Cooper Flag. And at this point, there's just not a soul in the country that can stop Cooper Flag, except maybe Lamarian Sherwood could, but we're not going to get that matchup. Maybe Donta Walker could, but we're going to get that matchup late in the regular season. The takeaway for me is UNC's got to find a way to finish this thing. This is a team that has, I said it on my podcast on Monday, the lowest winning percentage of any team in the top 20. Their season has not been, their schedule has not been littered with contenders thus far, and yet they've been ranked in the top 10 for many of the past, 6-7 weeks, because they're UNC and they got a couple timely wins. This was a game that I think they needed to get. And you're right, this was a team that outplayed Duke for much of the season. That could change completely, and they end up holding on for the win when it goes back to North Carolina and they're not playing at Cameron Indoor. But you got to find a way to win this game, or at least hold out to make it a one-possession game at the end, because you played great in the first half and you completely lost it in the second half in a game that, again, you have to get this if you're UNC. Their schedule has not been marked with many big wins. They're 10-7 now. I think they're still a top 15 team in the country, but that argument is getting harder and harder when they're not executing and winning against a team like Duke down the stretch, which they just didn't. They didn't attack the weakness, which was, like you say, Cooper Flag and foul trouble. They didn't take advantage of that. They didn't force Duke into difficult situations and difficult conversations. They didn't find a way to take advantage late in this game when they should have. And to me, that's concerning for UNC team that we're trying to believe is a championship contender.
Yes, I agree. But to cut us some slack, I mean, the closer did go down right before the main part of the game really started for me. So maybe you see them like, okay, the closer went down. Maybe they rely on him much more than everybody thought. And maybe the next time they see Duke, he will be closing as his job late in the game for UNC. Maybe.
Well, the hoops roll on. Duke and UNC was just that was pretty much the entree. But how about dessert to close out the week? A tripleheader tonight on ESPN. Virginia Tech and Wake Forest kick things off at 6:30. Kansas State, little interstate rivalry, and then Arizona Washington State to close things out. All of that starts tonight at 6:30 p.m. Sniper, you're not headed to any of those. No, you're not. You're not on our broadcast group this week, but that'll close it out. Anything that you're looking forward to tonight, whether it's those games or otherwise?
I'm looking forward to seeing this Virginia Tech team. I love watching them play. They play a very fast-paced game. I want to see what they do to Wake Forest tonight. I got them winning, but I want to see them. I want to put my eyes on them. Ever since they didn't got this new hype and this new push behind them, I want to see them now with the spotlight on them.
And Wake Forest, as everyone knows, the behemoth of the Demon Deacons is just the perfect test for them. Although the 3-win Demon Deacons, I think, at this point. So certainly Virginia Tech, one of the surprises, one of the many surprises of the ACC, back in ACC action tonight. All right, that's our show. We're coming back tomorrow morning. We'll recap all of that. We'll recap more of the association, and we'll keep rolling on into the weekend. Sniper, as always, well, not as always, because this is the first time. Thank you for making the debut. We appreciate that. We look forward to having you back on here on SimWorld today. Rick Blaze will be back in the booth making outrageous takes tomorrow morning, so you're coming back around for that. Sniper, thank you for joining. We'll look forward to getting you back in here again soon. Thank you all for tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.